What is up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Walking on Water. Have you ever thought about buying a kayak? Have you ever thought about customizing a kayak for fishing? Have you ever thought about spending long hours on a kayak on a big body of water somewhere? Check out my pros and cons about fishing off of a kayak. All right, guys, let's do a quick little rundown of my kayak and the customizations on my kayak, just so we can get a little reference point of what I'm working with, so you can see where my honest pros and cons are coming from. Check it out. The Lifetime Angler, 11.5 feet long. It only came with this rod holder right here. It came with the storage compartment front and back. I want to highlight three things on the kayak. First, let's start out with the downrigger. I was trying to use free weights initially to get to the depths with these depth charts that I was running. It just wasn't happening, so I installed a downrigger. I wish I would have known that to begin with. The second thing I wish I would have known to begin with, was the chair. I can only sit on it for about 4 hours before I was smoked out, getting waked out. It was pretty brutal, so I installed a chair. Now I can sit on that thing for about 8 hours if you have to. And then third, last but not least, the outrigger. I do have a video on my channel on how to build this. Check it out. It's pretty sick. So I do run two 24 DC marine batteries on the back of the kayak to run the Minn Kota motor. It was sinking below this line right here that I'm pointing at, right below the serial number. And so yeah, so I installed an outrigger, and yeah, now we're buoyant, we're floating solid. So let's get into the pros and cons of buying, fishing, and just chilling on a kayak. Obviously, you can see my kayak is fully customized. I'm using it to fish big bodies of water. I'm fishing deep. So it's definitely set up, for my style of fishing and for me. I mean, obviously you don't have to go this in depth, but I'm gonna give you all the honest pros and cons after spending 100 days on this kayak. Check them out. All right, con number one. So when I first set out, I found out that there was landlocked Chinook salmon. And I was thinking, how can I get myself on the water to go target these landlocked Chinook salmon? And I wanted to stay reasonably in price, and I wanted to do something a little bit unique. And so I thought kayak 100%. It's cheap. I did a little research. I saw the Hobies and other kayaks similar to Hobie, $1,200 to $2,000. And so I was thinking, and I convinced my wife, honestly, I was like, I can build a kayak for way cheaper than that. So I set out, I bought a $399 Lifetime Angler. And by the time I was done though, I had spent roughly around $2,000. I had to put the downriggers, the fish finder, the motor, the battery. You can't paddle and troll for landlocked Chinook salmon. You just can't do it. I didn't want to go out and spend the $1,200 to $2,000 originally on a Hobie or something similar to that, a pedal kayak. And so I thought, I was fully convinced in my mind. So I would have to say the number one con for kayak fishing and big water would be the cost of them. All right, con number two of kayak fishing. Anybody, any age that's ever been on a kayak knows one thing: the wind is your enemy. And no matter if you got a pedal kayak, the most expensive kayak on the planet, you've got a motor, 2 batteries, all this weight, all this gear, or you're just in a kayak just paddling, once the wind picks up, it's like a sail and it pushes you wherever it wants to go. I have literally had my Minn Kota on level 4, pushing it as fast as it can, 30 watts, and we're literally stuck in the wake and the wind is pushing us backwards. So con number 2, the wind. All right, con number 3, hands down, besides wind, is the amount of space that you have. So for me personally, I'm not going out there, I'm not paddling out a couple feet, I'm not casting, on a smaller pond or anything like that. I'm out there, I need ice. I've got tackle boxes, I've got lures, I've got 2 rods, I've got downrigger balls, we've got Brad's killer baits everywhere, we got nets in the back, 2 batteries. So I would have to say that con number 3 has got to be space on a kayak. I know there's a million different hacks to get around this, but a con definitely of kayak fishing, and my con number 3 would be space. All right, guys, con number 4. Let's get through these cons. So you're on a giant body of water, you're on a big lake, you're on a big pond and you've got to get somewhere fast. Your wife calls, your family calls, you got to get a fish to the weigh station, you caught it late, and you're on a kayak. So my con number 4 has got to be speed on a kayak. Whether you're pedaling, whether you've got a motor, or you're paddling with all your might, getting across a big body of water with any kind of wind in a very fast notion is just not gonna happen. So con number 4, final con, speed. All right, guys, I would honestly have to say 100% across the board, pro number 1 is the overall size of kayaks. They're light, they're small, you know, you can take them anywhere, you can get on the water fast, you can load a bunch of them up in the back of your truck, and you can be on the water quick and easy. Pro number 1. Pro number 2, you are in and on the kayak, you are in the elements, you are rafting down the river, you're in the rapids, you're fighting a fish, you're trying to get your net, you're over here twisting in the water. Kayak fishing is a challenge, and that is pro number 2. Kayak fishing is a challenge. All right, pro number 3. For me, myself, I've always strived to be a little bit different, maybe even a little bit unique. I know there's a huge kayaking community all over the world, so it's not anything extraterrestrial, but I definitely think kayak fishing is different. I was out there fishing in this fishing derby last year. There's all these Hughes Craft, Aluma Welds, North River boats, and I sat out there for 5 days, and I definitely earned the respect of those other fishermen in the bigger boats. So being on a kayak is sick, it's fun. Pro number 3, it's different. All right, guys, 4th and final pro. If you're looking for something that's 100% immersive, it's extreme, you're out on the water, you're in control of everything, you have to watch the way you're leaning, you have to watch where you put your feet, you've got stuff everywhere because there's no space. Literally, kayak fishing, pro number 4, the only way to describe it, it is extreme. It is fun, you're in the weather, you're in the rapids, you're fighting a fish, the fish is pulling your kayak. It's like nothing else. Pro number 4, it's extreme. Thank you so much for tuning in and watching the pros and cons video for kayak fishing and just kayaks in general. It's always super fun just to get out on the water and hang out on the kayak, regardless if you're getting that serious about it. But I hope these tips, the few pros and cons that I threw out, help you decide on what kind of kayak would best suit you and your fishing experience. Regardless, whether or not you want to buy a kayak, I would suggest that everybody in their lifetime that loves fishing or enjoys fishing at all gets out on a kayak and tries fishing from one. Reeling in a fish from a kayak is pretty fun, it's pretty extreme, and it's an awesome experience. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. I will see you next time.